Hey, and welcome to the Reset Podcast. Everything you need to know that your therapist probably never told you. Researched by experts, real life experiences. This is Reset.
We've had a major problem in our house the last 6 months?
Which one?
That's true. I think the concept in which our 6-year-old daughter is now making everything to a cell phone or a smartphone. Is that the way to put it? I don't know what the kids call it these days.
I think they just call it a phone.
And she would get cardboard box and cut out to look like a phone and put like numbers on it, even though her numbers are kind of messy how she writes it. So I don't know how she dials up friends, but also she made like a wood device. I think her brother actually made her a wooden one. And then at the store or Target, she got one of those fake ones. And that's that's just the beginning of our problems with this, because then she loves doing this in front of me. If she pretends she's talking to one of her friends and they're going to be going out tonight. And then I had to like grab the phone and be like, I need to talk to the father and the parents. And she gets so mad because now she's embarrassed that I'm talking to her pretend friend's father about how they need to not go out tonight. And then becomes, am I hurting my situation? Am I helping it? I don't know.
You know what? It's good practice for the future of when you're actually going to need to talk to the parents.
It's role playing at 6 years old. And I feel like somehow we're the ones to blame.
Yeah. Because our children see us on our phones all the time. They want to fit in. They want to be like us.
They don't know what they're doing with the phone.
This is true.
They just need one.
I just need it in my hand.
To be fair, it's just her. That's the funny part. The other kid's like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
But she's like, I feel like I need this. She's already wanting to connect and to be social through a box.
It's true. There are so many things we could talk about when it comes to phones and your kids.
Which is a perfect lead into a question I get weekly in my practice, which is, should I be following and tracking my kiddos' text messages, TikToks, DMs, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever else is out there, WhatsApp? Should I be tracking it, looking at it? Should I be monitoring it? Should I be protecting it? And I get that all.
Should you even be giving your kids Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, etc.?
The moment they ask me that question, I realize we're too late in the game.
Okay.
We're too late. The moment you give them the drug and to take it back, it is a disruption like no other. And so the answer to that is yes. Yes, follow, track, protect. It is by far very wise to do that. I think it's very foolish and unwise when the parents I work with talk about, but they need privacy, don't they? No, they don't. Not when it comes to that. I also think they also say is, well, should we wait until we find something? And my answer to that is, by the time you find something, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And the kid could already be in a full-blown porn addiction or getting involved in a catfish relationship or just, tracking or watching things that are just tremendously inappropriate for their age, which could be really defining their identity in all the wrong ways. And so I think the bottom line is some parents are so open-minded that their brain falls out when it comes to screens or phones. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, but here's really kind of the why behind this is, if you're going to choose to give your kid a smartphone, which, my recommendation has been for almost the last decade is hold off as long as you can. If there's a need to give it to them, then I always say meet the smartphone to a dumb phone. And by the way, we actually have a reset parent guide for screens that we've been giving out and updating for the last 10 years. That's 100% for, it's a free resource. You can get on our website. at the resetgroup.com that will kind of really go dive into a lot of what we're talking about today that we really can't get to. But, the whole aspect of this is, for our kids, I really feel like our job as parents is to, connect, correct, and protect. And help
Please say that again.
We have to teach our kids to connect, correct, and protect. Teach them how to protect themselves. Teach them how to connect with others in healthy ways, and understand at times when you feel like you have to tell yourself, I need a correction in life, and I've gone too far, or what does that look like? And so, the thing is, I would say majority of my teenagers that I see come see me because something was found on their cell phone. And it was found by accident. And so the parent wishes, and a lot of parents say, man, I wish I knew this a long time ago, and now we're too far down the dark hole of fill in the blank. That's why you got to start tracking the moment you get the cell phone. I really believe the cell phone is, you have to put the protections. So for us, that's two things. One thing is you need to get protection on the modem in the house, which is really step one. So all devices, no matter who comes into your house, someone brings a phone from the outside, for example, and they get on the Wi-Fi, we have major protection, and we have examples that are actually free or resources that are free for that in that guide that we talked about. The second thing is you got to then protect the actual device itself. And, there's several out there, and obviously it changes, and by the time this even comes out, it's probably changed. I know we like Bark when it comes to iPhones and things like that, but we actually have our top 10 list in that resource guide as well. But something that also protects it. And it's getting so good now where you could put down as a parent where if any text message or message that has, let's say, for example, like nudity or nudes, specific words around body parts or things like that, you could do it actually stops it. It keeps it from your kid receiving it. It keeps it from your kid sending it out. And then actually goes to you, goes to the cloud. And so now you have this active protection, because for me is I would rather be crisis, prevention than crisis control, especially in this case, because I think there's so many invisible enemies on these phones. I also think there's so many active enemies on these phones. And we could sit here and just give you stories for a lifetime from my practice that will scare the heck out of you when it comes to it. But the thing is you got to keep your kids and really preserve them in a healthy way and protect them with some parameters ahead of time. Because they're not there. Their executive functioning is so immature. Right? We're talking about teenagers, maybe 12 and older. And so with their brain, where they're at neurologically.
That's a hard word.
I think this happens every time on the old podcast. Is what happens is they're just not ready for these adult situations that these phones put them in. And so, and we all know what happens with the neurological side of it. And we're talking about this a different time. We really dive into the aspect of just addiction to screens. So I think it's actually a lot of value there. But just staying the topic on hand, we're setting our kids up for failure. And even though you might have a great kid, good kid, straight A's, play sports, is a great artist, that kind of stuff, is that anyone in any situation can really change the disposition. And we know this true from, I was thinking, there's the famous Stanford experiment, one of probably the most famous psychological experiments ever in the 1970s, where basically the result of the experiment is that, good people can do bad things or immoral things or go against their morals, put it in the right situation. So the whole cliche from that is that situation is dictated by, or the situation dictates the disposition, or the disposition is formed by the situation, meaning that you put a great kid who has a good disposition in the wrong situation, which a lot of phones could put kids in that situation, they may go against their morals or the beliefs that their family has installed in them. And so that can happen multiple times in one day with these phones. And so if we're not tracking, monitoring it, and by the way, I actually believe and I coach parents in saying, be transparent with them. Here's your phone. We're tracking this. Here's what we're tracking. Here's the reason why we're doing it. The why matters. And here it is. So what does that do? First of all, it gives kids a cause and effect mentality. Like we're developing the cause and effect part of their brain. If I choose to send this or receive this, and I'm choosing for my parents to see it, I'm choosing possibly a consequence, right? And the other part of it is to teach them the aspect of, you lose what you abuse in life. So if you abuse this phone because we're tracking it, then you lose this phone. Now, we're not like Big Brother per se. I think if a parent is literally checking every day a cell phone, checking every day the cloud in which everything goes to with like family sharing or let's say what Bark does and things like that. If you check it every day, that can be very exasperating, very tiring, not just for the parent, also for the kid. So, I suggest is that you just pick one day a week to kind of comb through it and go through it, unless you're realizing and seeing, some warning signs with your kid. And it's like, I really need to, check what's going on here. Seeing a change of disposition, so there's something happening I need to know when it comes to it.
This is the part of our show where we talk about our opinions on the things that we observe. Observe and then respond, don't worry, you cannot be wrong. It's all about the way that your mind works. Observation feedback.
I've been dying to talk about this one because I love my observational feedback in life.
This is true.
Yeah. And we were blessed to go on a fantastic trip to Hawaii to Disneyland Hotel, Aulani, Awana. I know.
Thank you, COVID, for giving us 50% off the Aulani Hotel.
Yes, we do. Thank you for that. And if we want to have Disney sponsor us, that'd be great as well.
Thank you, Disney. Insert sponsorship here.
Yes. And so as we spent 7 days there, me just sitting there watching, I don't know.
Disney fans?
Yeah. That's another thing. Let's talk about that real quick. There's a different...
They range from everything to anything.
It is a different breed of person who is a Disney obsessed fan.
Fanatic.
Yes. And it's a wide range.
It is.
And so a couple of things. Good point.
Oh, no.
Is Disney obsessed fans have the weirdest tattoos all over their body. I really believe they just didn't think of this through. Where am I going to get my tattoos? What are my tattoos going to be of? And am I going to take care of my tattoos? Because they're all fading. And by the way, tattoos aren't cheap. Disney isn't cheap, right? And so I look at that, and there's always that one fan where half of their body's the dark side, and then the other half of the body is called the light side, the Force. I don't know.
What level of Disney fan are you?
Me? Oh,
yeah.
I'm a low level. I'm a low level.
I think I'm mid-level.
Well, you worked at Disney as Cinderella.
Oh my gosh, you cannot say that.
Well, I know I'm ruining
Should we
the magic.
bleep that out?
I don't know.
No, I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with Disneyland parks. It's just there's a lot of people. It's a little overwhelming. But if no one was there and I got to enjoy it all, it'd be great.
And so obviously we had the weird Disney person. I mean, the tattoo thing made me really think like, wow, these people, I mean, their executive functioning is gone. Like something must happen to people when they walk into a tattoo parlor, or I don't even want to call it, where all logic goes away, right? So there's that part. I also thought it was odd why we were there during COVID, like we'll say it, and they got mad at me when I was coming out. I was literally coming out of the ocean. I was drenched, and I needed a towel. I mean, I was like only 5 feet away from it. Like we have friends witnessing this. Well, we met them there, and they would not give me a towel because I didn't have a mask on.
But there was also a clear glass. They were behind like a safe space. They could have just thrown it at your face.
A glass case of emotions, as they say, right? But I just got out of the water. Like I had nothing to.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Bro needed a towel.
I respect the rules. As I'm not here to get controversial here, but this is the key that I witnessed on this vacation to Disneyland Hotel in Hawaii. I sat there for 7 straight days watching from my, I don't know, seat.
Lounge chair?
Yeah, lounge chair. Watching, I would say, men and women over the age of 35 struggling getting out of the pool. Struggling. And by the way, I'm not talking about, this is not a weight thing at all. I'm talking about no one stretches anymore. I'm dead serious. You saw it. People were struggling getting out of the pool.
Like if someone's sitting on the step, you got to get out when it's 5 feet. You got to like use those arm muscles.
What's going on with America? And I'm going to blame this. I need more yoga in my life.
Yeah.
I got to start stretching because when I watched the little GoPro videos that you did of the whole trip.
Were you embarrassed by yourself?
I'm struggling getting out of the pool.
Yeah, I would like to proudly say I can get out of the pool like a champ.
You're a stud. I think there's something when you give birth to kids, you can do a lot more stuff.
It's
right?
true.
But I mean, we have to address the stretching crisis in America. But then again, I don't know, because right next door is the Four Seasons Hotel. And the best part about this area, and people have been to get it, like half of the beach is just Disney people, and it's loud and it's wild and it's weird tattoos. The right side of the beach is the Four Seasons people, and they are calm, quiet, in shape. No stretching issues at all, you could tell.
Right.
So maybe stretching, we're just not affluent enough to have to stretch.
What's happening right now?
And so this is why you say this all a lot. You're like, what are you thinking about right now? And I just gave you my feedback. And this is my feedback. It's
true.
me raw.
Also, that there's just so many different kinds of kids. Like you have the kid who is super independent. You don't see them all day. The kid who like makes random friends with other kids. And that's our dog barking. Don't worry about it. It is fun just to watch the kids too and how they interact. And but I think what we learned from that trip was stretch more.
Stretch more.
And think about your tattoos, where you're going to put them.
Well, and here's the other part, because now I'm on a roll, I feel like, about this trip, is little advice. When you go down a kid's slide tunnel, I think it's called a tornado, volcano tornado. What is that called?
This is a good one.
And you just want to be with the family and lean in, like we're talking so much about these days. It was a pretty long, it's a dark tunnel to go down. And in the middle of this water slide tunnel, I got stuck.
It's true. We were waiting for him at the bottom, like,
I got stuck.
Yay, Daddy!
I got stuck in a
waiting.
Pitch dark tunnel, thinking, is some kid going to come and knock me out from behind?
But then let's talk about what happened when you actually emerged from the tunnel.
Drowned.
The lifeguard was actually very concerned.
He was like, "Sir, have you ever swam before?" I'm like, I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in Orange County, going to the beach every day. I felt like this goes back to
stretching.
Everything from this trip, because I actually came back from that trip telling myself, I gotta do yoga.
And have you?
No, not yet. But I need to.
This was a year ago.
It was a year ago. But do you see how much this trip has just
I think
stuck
it's
with
damaged you.
Yes.
Oh my god.
But you know what? I recommend it, and either you choose the Four Seasons side. You got to think about this. It's like the dark side and the Force. How it was. You had the Disney people and the Four Seasons hotel people. They combined.
I feel like
group.
Disney fans are being offended right now.
Just to let you know, I love the Disney fans. I really do, and they are really
fun,
obsessed. But you know what they get mad at? They get mad at when they run out of some type of food.
It's true.
Remember that girl got upset when they ran out of like chicken nuggets or something like that?
I know. I think your kid had allergies.
Oh, is it allergies? Okay, then
Joe, you're not remembering. There was people who had a sparkly wristband, which meant like you were like the member. And then we just had like the normal, like you had a different color every day. And I did feel a little segregated. Like I felt like I was not the sparkly wristband. I felt like I was treated a little differently amongst those guests.
Well, there is a system.
Not the people who worked at Disneyland Hotel, just the people who had the sparkly wristbands kind of looked you up and down. Maybe they were like, they don't have any misplaced tattoos. They must not be a real fan.
You must stretch too much. I do think you are right that there is how can I put this? There is a system around Disney that as a layman person coming in, a non-Disney man coming in, I don't know the system, but man, these diehards know the system about
and
how
they're very
to get wristbands, where to find their spot. Remember that one day we're gonna wake up 7 a.m. to get a spot next to the pool. We go there and they're up at 6:36 getting the pool.
These are committed fans.
These are these are mama bears.
They bring like amazing. Remember, everyone like brought their own sand toys. We're like,
nothing.
We are the worst.
The price of it. Why did they not have sand toys? That is true. We found out that we are not Disney prepared. Even though we worked at Disney, we grew up near Disney.
We love
passes
Disney
for many, many years. I mean, I remember when there was no California Adventure.
It was just the parking lot.
It was just the parking lot next to the ticket area, and you just go in. It was $39, and we thought that was a lot of money.
Are over.
Churros were $3, and so I'm just saying.
Churro, I want a churro.
My observational feedback that was given to me.
It's profound.
But
You know what? That's very interesting observational feedback.
also what's interesting about observational feedback is it's different for everybody.
You didn't feel that, did you?
No. You mean your passion you have right now for the tattoo people and stretching? My observation feedback was different.
What was your
The
feedback?
wristband people were the ones that really
bothered
got
you.
me.
That bothered you.
Yeah. I felt like thought they were better than me.
See, I think the opposite.
Maybe it's a complex I have.
I feel like the people who had the VIP Disney sparkling bracelet, my mindset was, like, there's better ways to spend money. There's better ways to spend money than to have a meet and greet of Mickey and Minnie who aren't real.
I also thought, babe, you just...
They're real.
Thank you. Gosh, so many secrets being just given away and dreams that are crushed.
I'm a realist.
I do think that Disneyland in general or this was the Disneyland Hotel, just the variety of people Disney brings is fascinating. From like the emo to the princess to the cute nerd to the I don't want to be here, Dad. I mean, it is just the range of people is fascinating to me.
It is. It is a brand that brings all walks of life together.
It's unity.
It is
Disney
unity.
brings all walks of life together.
We better get a sponsorship from
Thank
us.
you, Disney. If you want to win a trip to Disneyland, that's not an ad. That's still me, guys.
And we're not giving away one year.
Okay, this was a great observational feedback. Let us know what you think about Disneyland in the comments.
Now back to the show.
And so, specifically when it comes to tracking them, the aspect of it is hopefully the protection alone will be there. Hopefully the understanding of that is being watched and seen is a good thing. Like an audience complex in this case would be a healthy aspect for the kid, because I think so many kids, everything's so secretive, and secret creates, issues, problems. I always say you're a secrets are in life, and there's a lot of secrets that people have. And so, I think it's foolish not to do that.
Wow, that is a lot to think about. And I think what it reminds me that, our kids don't know yet boundaries within something that is new. And that is our job as a parent. How unfair is it? I actually feel bad for the kids when parents give their kids a fully loaded cell phone at age 10, whatever, with no boundaries and no perimeters. So this is also to help them navigate a healthy relationship with their phone when you sit down and you say, hey, listen, we're giving you a phone, but mom and dad, we're going to come alongside you, and we are going to be watching what you're looking at, or what text messages you send, not because like we're mean and cruel and dictators, but because we want to teach you how to navigate this. And there might be some warning signs we see that you don't even see. So we want to go through this with you, and not making it like, I love that you said that though, Joe, is I think a lot of people think, oh, if I track my kids, they need privacy, yada, yada, but they're forgetting the part of you're telling them you're doing it. Don't do it secretly. Tell them this is what we're doing, They need to be taught how to navigate it, because it's a lot. It's a lot of things to process and go through.
Well, and I would say 75% of my clients, my teens, they don't even fight it. But then there's that 25%. They fight it. They complain. They argue. They debate about it. And here's what's being done. Your teen isn't revealing. They're not ready for it yet. They're not mature enough for it yet. And they're probably wanting something on there that desperately they want to be part of. That's probably not what you want them to see. And so just, your intuition as a parent needs to go up there. Now, what's one of the enemies about this that is not really have to do with the cell phone? It has to really do with your allies, other parents. And so if you have other parents who are giving your buddies, your kids' friends, cell phones with no parameters, man, that's hard to fight, because all of a sudden you're fighting against the peers, right? Bobby gets to do this, I don't get to, things like that. And that's what's hard. And this is really, really encouraged that you have great relationships with your kids' friends' parents. And you really talk to them about, hey, here's what's going on. Here's our expectations. It'd really be good if we're on the same page. And so our kids don't have the aspect of like FOMO, or that we don't, introduce something that maybe we're not ready for, or the kids are not ready for.
which we like to call parenting in circles. We actually were talking about this at school, some moms and I, and someone else brought it up, and I was so happy to hear them say it, because this is our hope for when we give our kids cell phones and everything is at least, 2-3 other parents. If you can get more involved, yes, because then your kid isn't isolated. It's like, oh, at least Bobby, Bill, and Joe, their parents too, don't let them do yada, yada, yada. So your kid doesn't feel so isolated. But coming together as parents and saying, hey, what's your boundary on this? When do you guys turn off your cell phones at night or whatever it is, so that your kid can actually just be a kid and be present with family and friends and not be connected to their phone 24 hours a day. So that is something to really think about. And that's why it's important to know the parents of your kids' friends.
Know your allies.
Yeah. And come together, like have it be an encouraging thing, not an overwhelming thing, so that you can, like you just said earlier too, like set your kid up for success. That's why these things are important. Their brains are not fully developed to navigate this whole world with a cell phone. So let's aid them and be their advocates.
I was thinking too, just about the premarital work that I do with couples who are planning to get married, is we added an extra week regarding the aspect of having an affair-proof marriage. And it used to be about 7 years ago, we didn't have this portion of the affair-proof week that we talked to the couples about, but we added this aspect of cell phones and devices, electronics, where we encourage and we want them to have tracking each other, opportunity to know all passwords for like emails, things like that. And it's interesting. Once again, probably 95% of my couples are like all in. They get it. They understand it. Let's be proactive. Anyone can have an affair at any situation. And so knowing that a lot of it starts with emotions and a lot of it can start with these online connections, is that 95% are fine. 25% fight it, and that's the red flag. Spidey senses come out, and honestly, you rarely do. I've never seen when both like partners are like, no, we don't want this. It's always one partner says, absolutely, this makes sense, and the other partner it says no. I'm telling you right now, the partner who is for it and that recognizes the importance of it and the value of it, they start getting worried about their marriage. And so if it's important for us as like married couples, it's important for us as adults. I mean, just think about how important that is then for our kids, but in these really situations where there's a lot of active enemies on there going after it. I was thinking about 7 or 8 years ago, I was involved, somehow I got involved with one of my cases got to Homeland Security, FBI was involved. And from that got connected and just sparked a relationship with Homeland Security where we started speaking at different churches together, parents of teenagers. And they would go and kind of come talk about cases and really just talk about a lot of stuff that they're seeing. Because at that time, I think still is this way, Homeland Security in the state of California deals with all cyber crimes. The sheriff does not get involved with those cases, and so they actually send it straight to Homeland Security. In this case, and the FBI got involved and did a sting operation. It was a crazy, fun case. So, what they were talking about with parents is they really recommend, and they see it all, obviously, is, they're pretty extreme. They say, hey, no kid should have a smartphone until they go to college. And even if they go to college, at that point, they recommend 100% that you still track them in college because they see a ton of stuff that's going on with sex trafficking and different things when it comes to kids in college. And so just because they're away at college and 18 and older doesn't mean necessarily we need to, relinquish all restraints. I think there's obviously a balance there. But I was thinking, these are the experts. I mean, this is what they're seeing, they're hearing, and they, of course, they recommend the aspect of if you can find the old flip phone, that's the way to go. I mean, but we're so worried as parents. I think our perspective is the more information we have, the more in control we are. I think that's the biggest lie. And I think the aspect of just because I could track them, where their whereabouts are and things like that means that, we're safe, and it's better. It's not necessarily true either. And so part of his understanding is, yes, I need to be tracking information appropriately and correctly and have a relationship with that information and use it in the right way or correct way to just protect my kid. But so many parents, what happens is because their kid has a cell phone, they think in terms of, okay, well, now I could track them, the locations and things like that. Then I could kind of maybe give them more rope, right, in life. And that's not necessarily true. I actually think that's just a really cognitive distortion in so many ways. And so some parents that want to give kids a smartphone like in 6th grade. That's like one of the big things I hear. 6th grade, 7th grade, middle school. And I'm telling you, that's just a big mistake. It's a big mistake. And there's other options. And there's other ways to, if you want to, really track a kid, if it's like, the new smart watches that they have out there. Or the fact is like a lot of my clients have family phones. And so you rent it out like Blockbuster. Remember that back in the day, good old Blockbuster?
It's like if you're going out for the night
yeah,
or
it's
something.
like, okay, I'm going to Bobby's house, and they give them, they made the smartphone to a dumb phone. And by the way, Apple does a great job at this. Once again, in our, our resource guide for screens, we talk about this or walk you through it. Is that like they'll make it to it where there's no Safari or there's no Google Chrome or anything like that. They can't search the internet. You can still know where their location are. You could take off iMessage or chat. They can't download stuff, but they still have it, so they could call 911. They could call you, things like that. And I get that, So obviously this is a blanketed statement that we're talking about. But every situation, I think there's always room or margins to work with. But I just think no matter what, if you're going to give a kid a cell phone, you're foolish not to track it. You're foolish not to look at the information, comb through it, and you're foolish not to protect them ahead of time. And you're foolish not to express to them and have a transparent, authentic relationship with your kid and tell them, here it is, here's the expectations, and things like that. On our website for the resource guide and we're going to talk more about screens, but we have different contracts we have laid out. So if you want to use them, you can, with your kids and things like that, that helps like spell it out. But I just think this is something that we're kind of touching just a very tip of the iceberg on, that I think would be value for us to talk more about screens, and when it comes to even video games, we get a lot of questions about video games. And so, but for now, when it comes to tracking, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes, people. So please let us know if there's any other questions you have specifically to this part of cell phones. But if there's also something you're struggling with any form of cell phone, social media, video games, whatever that is, I'm sure we're going to do a lot more on cell phones. And then we'll definitely do some stuff on video games and screens as well. Just know we are here for you guys, and we love hearing from you. So let us know how we can support you.
Thank you for listening to the Reset Podcast. We're so glad you're here. If you enjoyed this episode, take a minute before moving on with your day and text a link to a friend, someone that you think would benefit from hearing it as well. We coach individuals, athletes, couples, and teams to overcome mental barriers that are holding them back from reaching their maximum potential. If that sounds like you can find out all about working with us, as well as our virtual group coaching at theresetgroup.com. We would love to connect with you on social media, so be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at The Reset Group. See you next time.